Welcome back into the Daily Dose. I'm Jeff Hansen. I didn't win the Mega Millions yesterday, so I'm not a billionaire this morning. Therefore, we've got to talk about some of the friends who make this show possible. It's just what it is. And I'm talking about our guys over at Feastbox. They're fantastic. Feastbox, phenomenal food, really cool NIL deal that really you get to be the benefactor of as a BYU football fan. Check them out, cougarfeast.com. And you get food scheduled, great food, proteins, sides, swag. Get all of this stuff scheduled to be delivered to your doorstep the day before a game. It's fantastic. I've had the food. I enjoy the food. I think it's really cool. I think it's really fun. 10% of proceeds also go to help feed the hungry. It's fantastic. I mean, everything about the entire process, the entire campaign, the Cougar Feast campaign is phenomenal. And now they have a 6-person box. It's not just 12 people. So check it out, cougarfeast.com. Get yours scheduled before they sell out because they are selling quick. As always, the show's brought to you by give'emhellbrigham.com. Check us out over at give'emhellbrigham.com or gehb.co. Sign up for the freemium style newsletter. You can dabble. You can get a little feel for free. See if you like the newsletter. And then if you like what you see and you want more VIP content, you can subscribe monthly, annually, whatever. Check it out. It's at gehb.co. Okay, let's talk about everybody's favorite subject, the trenches. It's time for a trench check-in to see what's going on down there in Provo at fall camp. And it starts with Connor Pay. Connor Pay does not know what position he's going to play in week 1 when Sam Houston State comes to town. And we've kind of said that that is probably going to be the case since Paul Maile enrolled months ago. Paul Maile has played center at Utah. He's played guard at Utah. He's even taken some reps at tackle when he was at Utah. He can do anything, but he's done center the most. Connor Pay also can play a variety of positions. He could play either guard spot or he could play the center position, and he could play that at a very high level. In fact, I think that Pay is a better center than Maile, and I think that Pay is a better guard than Maile. So what does this mean? That Daryl Funk has multiple options. He's got 2 guys who could play either position. He gets to play mix and match, and he gets to now say, okay, if Connor plays left guard and Paul Maile plays center, and then I stick in Waylon Lapuaho at right guard, what does that do for the entirety of the offensive line? He doesn't have to judge individual performance. He can now plug in a Maile somewhere and plug in a Pay somewhere and determine which combination makes up the best 5. I've thought this is what's going to happen since Maile enrolled, and we're starting to see it play out. Here we are over a week into fall camp, and Connor Pay is still taking reps at center, and he is still taking reps at guard. He does not have a hard-lined position yet. I think that's good. That multiplicity, that flexibility, as long as they find a solution, they find a combination that they like, and they stick with it so that those guys could build camaraderie, I think it's great what they're doing right now. I would hope that here in about a week, the combination checking and trial and error is over and guys know where they're going to be. But for right now, it's cool. Multiplicity is great. Versatility is fantastic. And it's the name of the game of the offensive line. Ian Fitzgerald, who some have pegged as an NFL offensive tackle, which is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I don't know how guys like Phil Steele have Ian Fitzgerald on NFL radar at this point, but hey, it's great. I hope he gets there. He's taking reps at guard as well, kind of that cross-training, that flexibility. Braden Keim has taken some reps inside and outside. I think ultimately he's an outside guy for sure, but he's done some different things as well along the offensive line. I think it's great. That multiplicity is going to benefit BYU in the long run. There's no question about it. The other offensive lineman battle that I'm really excited about that maybe doesn't have any impact on the first month, 2, or even maybe at all this season, but is a huge battle for the future, Peter Falanico versus Weston Jones. I think that either one of those 2 dudes is your center of the future. And whoever starts to separate themselves right now is the guy who I would write in and pencil in as the center in 2024. Peter Falanico out of Southern Utah. The dude's freaky. He's 6'3". He's strong. He's physical. He looks like a center. Weston Jones comes out of Michigan. He's a little bit taller. He's a little bit more broad. He looks more like he could play guard, but he's one of the smartest football players that I've seen coming out of high school. He's the kind of guy you want calling protections and breaking things down for offensive linemen. That might separate him from Falanico in the middle of the BYU offensive line in the future. Really anxious to see what happens with those two, because I think one of them is the center next year when Paul Miley and Connor Pay take their talents to the NFL. Okay, flip over to the other side of the ball. What's happening along the defensive line? Well, Coach Sione Pua talked about it yesterday, and he said that there are 6 defensive tackles that he feels really good about. That's a 3 deep at either defensive tackle spot. That's a little bit surprising, but I guess I get it. I think I can see the names. There are 5 names that I feel really good about. David Latu, Jackson Cravens, the transfers from Snow and from Boise. I think those are your starters. David Latu has been running with the 1s. Jackson Cravens, everybody is expected to be a 1. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by those 2. John Nelson, we kind of know what to expect from John Nelson as well. He's done really good things during his time at BYU. Atunaisa Mahe and Caden Haas, when they're healthy, they've been impactful, but they've struggled staying healthy. And is this the year that they finally catch some luck? I don't know. Can you bank on luck? Can you say that the last couple of years were flukes? Tough to say, but I think those are your 5 names for sure on the defensive tackle depth chart. But who's that 6th name? Is it Josh Singh, the walk-on from Orem High School who prepped at Kahuku before Orem? Or is it a guy like Bruce Mitchell out of South Summit there in Camas, who really was a kind of an afterthought in a recruiting class? It was a questionable offer from camp, but he went on a mission. He came home. He's 6'4". He's big. He's strong. Is that a guy that Sione Puha has been able to work with, to mold into that 6th defensive tackle? He's got a lot of reps. He's played a lot of time there in practice. I think he might be your 6th defensive tackle. And if he is, I think you can probably plan on seeing him on the field this year. So that's a really interesting comment in my mind from Sione Puha. And those guys, those 6 guys, I think I like the unit at large. I don't love it. There's not anybody that's a Kairos Tonga there in my mind. There's not a Star Lotulele in there in my mind. There's not even a Romney Fuga there in my mind. But I think you've got 6 guys who can perform. Certainly, I think you've got 5 guys that can perform, and the drop-off between all 5 isn't very deep. It isn't very steep, I should say. So that's good. You just hope that somebody can take that group to the next level and hit another gear in terms of what they bring to the field. And at the ends, if you've been paying attention, Michael Daly is getting a lot of reps. We all know who Tyler Batty is. We all know about Isaiah Banya. We know that those are going to be the guys. So who's there after those 2? Michael Daly's getting a lot of run in practice. He was an elite pass rusher when he was at Lone Peak High School. He's now working with Kelly Papinga. And frankly, he's the kind of guy that Kelly Papinga has had a ton of success with throughout his career, whether he's a linebacker that stands up and comes off the edge, or if he's a guy who is he's a defensive end with his hand in the dirt out wide. It doesn't really matter. Kelly Papinga's had success with both throughout his career, and he's getting a lot of run. John Henry Daly, his little brother, has all of the potential in the world as well. Just got off a mission. Don't know that I would expect a ton from him this year, but Michael Daly was just as effective as a pass rusher. He maybe didn't have the size and the prototypical intangible, or I guess tangibles that you want, measurables that you want, that John Henry did have. But Michael Daly was really, really good. And it seems like BYU's found something there. I'm seeing a lot of him, and I'm hearing some good things. So all in all, the trenches are progressing. The trenches look like they're going to be a strength. On either side of the ball, BYU likes where they're at with the trenches, and I think that that's important going into the Big 12. I think that is something that the trenches, it sounds so cliche because everybody says this, but BYU's recruiting pool, BYU's coaching staff, guys who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, like it's conducive. BYU, it has a lot of advantages to finding strength in the trenches. They just do. And going into the Big 12 conference, if BYU can establish themselves as somebody who is going to be big, strong, and physical up front every week on either side of the ball, then they're raising the floor of what happens in terms of wins and losses every year of the Big 12. If you have stellar offensive line play and you're big and strong up front on defense, then you're going to be in a lot of games despite what happens around you on the skill position. So I like where BYU's at. Seems like there's a lot of progress so far. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But all in all, they're hitting the right checkpoints, and BYU fans should be encouraged so far. Thank you so much for tuning into the Daily Dose. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And until next time, give them hell.